how this interview setup is going to work is I'm going to go into your career a bit and building up to Fight Island, whilst my co-host Fuad has got some island-related questions in general, and that will become more apparent as to what that means later.
Okay.
So first up, that day in Nottingham last year when you were introduced by Colin, having signed UFC contract, what a crazy roller coaster year that was. Coming back from, was it 3 years from MMA competition? You'd had a boxing fight and then you'd come to Cage Warriors. Had that, the first match back, you checked a leg kick and the guy broke his leg on you, which, if ever there's a reminder of how brutal the sport of MMA can be, it is that, because things like that rarely happen in high level fights. And to see, I was there front row for that fight, and it was horrific to see. I'm sure it's horrific for you to see. You get a first round knockout after that, and then you sign with the company. So as a whole, how was that year for you from start to finish?
It was a pretty good year, to be fair. You know, it's just, I don't like to sound cocky when I say it, but it's just what I always expected. Do you know what I mean? It's not, obviously the leg break, I didn't expect that, but I always expected to one day like be in the UFC, and I expect one day to be UFC heavyweight champion as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not like blindsiding me kind of thing. It's what I always like envisioned in my head. So it was a good year, like you said. Things started going well. But yeah, there's not really much I can say about it, really. It was a good year. I would have liked to have more fights, but I only ended up having 2. But that's the way that's just the heavyweight division, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's hard to get regular fights, but it went well, successful year.
Because I think the UFC, not only because it's the biggest, most synonymous, famous fight league in the world of MMA, you had a real problem of getting fights in MMA before 2019. That was why you took that break as well to go into boxing. You're not going to have a problem with getting fights in the heavyweight division because it is deep in the UFC, and people want to fight at the highest level. So that's something you've got to be thinking about as well, that you're not going to be twiddling your thumbs waiting around as much as before.
Yeah, well, that was the biggest issue, really, is I wanted to get as much experience as I could. The UFC wanted to sign me after I had like 4 fights, and I said that I want to get more experience. I can't remember. I think 3 fights even. I don't remember. But I said that I want to get more experience, so I had some more fights, and then I couldn't get any fights, and that was frustrating. So then I went boxing for a bit, like you say. Then I come back, and again, it was just like, to be fair, the fella who broke his leg, he stayed on from the beginning. He was assigned to fight for him like a couple of months before, and it stuck like that. But the last opponent, I think it changed like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that, Ian Dean, the Cage Warriors matchmaker, he just said, "Look, I've had a nightmare getting this opponent over. Managed to get a decent opponent, luckily. The guy was like 5-0. But he said, look, we're going to struggle to," he said, "unless you want to fight bums," he said, "we're going to struggle to like get any decent opponents regular for you." Because I just signed a 5-fight contract with Cage Warriors, and the leg break one, that wasn't in the contract. So the second one was. And then he said, look, these next 4 fights, we can't guarantee them, basically. So you're either going to get 1 or 2 bums a year, or you're going to get 1 decent opponent a year, and that's going to be it. So it's kind of up to you. What do you want to do, kind of thing? And then it just so happened that the UFC was in contact with my coach again. Said, look, if you want to sign, the contracts here, you give me a better contract money-wise and stuff. They give me 4-fight deal. And so we just said, look, we're good to go. I said, we've got me coach, my dad, and basically the close people around me just said, look, there's nowhere else we can go here, so we're going to the UFC, and that's it. Like you say, you're not struggling for opponents in the UFC because they're paying well, and people want to be there. Do you know what I mean? No one's really trying to get easy fights in the UFC, so happy days.
And like when you look at those Fight Island cards, yours on the 27th, what a card that is, just for a fight fan in general, but more specifically if you're a UK fight fan as well. You've got yourself, Nathaniel Wood, Danny Roberts versus Nicholas Dalby. Obviously, the main event, your training partner, Darren Till versus Robert Whittaker.
What a fight.
It's just unbelievable how stacked that card is. Gustafsson versus Verdum, which is, you'll be keeping an eye on that one for sure. Surely you've got to ask to go in the arena back after your fight and have a look at them guys up close, if you're allowed to. Socially distanced.
I mean, to be honest, I'm a massive Gustafsson fan anyway. So yeah. I'll just be watching him as a fan. I've always loved Gustafsson because I feel like mine and his styles are quite similar anyway. Do you know what I mean? On the move, keep it long with the heavy with the boxing and stuff. And I just love watching Gustafsson fight. So I'll definitely be watching that. If they'll let you back in, I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange how it.
To be fair, mate, I'm not too bothered about how good the card is. None of that really matters to me. As long as I'm fighting, I'm not really bothered. To be honest.
Your specific slot is very important in terms of the card as a whole because it's the main event of the prelims. And obviously, during this time, people are watching the cards, even if, when the casuals, they are watching the cards from top to bottom, from prelims till the end of the card. And yours would be one of the most watched fights on the card anyway, given its spot, because people will be tuning in just before the main card starts. Are you thinking... I know you said you don't really care about the quality of the card in general, but are you thinking, given how brilliant the fights have been since lockdown began and the names on the card, are you thinking, I've got to steal the show on this one and get the ball rolling from the get-go?
To be honest, not really something I've considered. You know what I mean? I said it in another interview. To me, it doesn't really matter if the fight's on Fight Island, where it is on the card, what time it is, who it's against. Could be here, could be on Fight Island, could be in a pub car park, could be in my back garden. I'm not bothered as long as I'm fighting. Yeah. As long as I'm fighting, I'm just not bothered. You know what I mean? As long as I'm fighting, I'm happy with it. None of that really. All that's like, it's all exterior stuff, and I don't really think about that. Do you know what I mean? None of that really matters. What matters is really me fighting in my head. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I'm not really too bothered about it, to be honest. I just want to get in there and fight, and that's it.
Is this the first time that you, Till and Grundy have all fought on the same card, though? Is that the first time that's ever happened? It's happened before?
No, we fought on, a couple of times on amateur shows. Right. Not as professionals, I don't think. Me and Grundy have fought on a lot of the same shows, but me and Grundy, I don't think we have. I might be wrong, but I think we fought as amateurs together, and that's it.
And I imagine the build-up to this in the gym really isn't that different anyway, because Colin makes sure that you guys are all part of each other's camps anyway, doesn't he? From what I've heard.
Yeah, exactly the same. Exactly the same. Obviously, we're working on our own little game plans and stuff like that. But that's what we do anyway. So, yeah, like you said, it's no different, really.
And when you look at the heavyweight division now, do you think you're coming in at maybe the perfect time? Because it's going to be in the middle of a transition stage after this summer. Because Cormier, this is going to be his last fight. And Stipe he's very strongly hinted that this could be his last fight as well. So you've got two of the best in the division going to be leaving. I know we had a bit of a laugh about Ngannou in Nottingham when you said I might be ill on that day or whatever, but he's going to be the guy that you're probably going to have to come up against to state your claim as number one, isn't he? Really, he's kind of run away from the pack aside from the top two.
Maybe down the line, but I'm not looking to be up in the top 10 anytime soon, to be honest. Yeah. I've got a lot of experience to gain. Me before I get up there in the top 10. So for the next few years at least, I'm just looking to see. The thing with the heavyweight division is they have a lot of like non-experienced people as well, who are like outside the top 10, top 15, top 20, stuff like that, who are like relatively new, like 10 fights on. So I just want to be fighting them guys for a bit, do you know what I mean? Getting me experience, get me foot in the door a little bit, get comfortable in there before I start to... I ain't in a rush, you know what I mean? I'm not in a rush at all.
And naturally, because you are affiliated with Till, obviously, we all know you from this country, but Till is a big star in America. And I feel like the Americans and maybe people from other countries in Europe, they might anticipate you to be a similar character to Till, considering when you look at fight camps in the past, when you had the scrap pack with the Diaz boys and Jake Shields and Melendez, they were all quite similar characters, but you are very much your own person. You very relaxed individual. And and Till is his own person as well. Is that something that you're looking to make apparent from the get-go?
Well, I ain't trying to be like Till. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Till is my mate, obviously, and my teammate, but I'm not trying to be like anyone apart from myself, really. Me and Till are very different people in terms of personality, anyway. When pretty much nothing like each other, even though we're friends. But yeah, I'm not really trying to be like anyone, to be honest. I'm just trying to be like myself. I'm not trying. See, that's a big problem in MMA for me. I think is everyone's trying to be someone they're not, and you can just see straight through it, can't you? Do you know what I mean? All this smack talking and that, unless it's genuine, it just cringes me out. I don't know about you, but it does with me.
Yeah,
and I just look at it and just think, what's going on here?
I grew up in the generations of the probably maybe the most outspoken person when I was growing up was maybe Rampage Jackson, but even that was him. He was that guy, so it wasn't too much. That rivalry with Rashad Evans was one that probably gripped the mainstream a bit much, but even then didn't seem very staged or anything. But then you've got these borderline comic book characters of Colby Covington, people like that. Even the annoying thing is as well, when you watch Henry Cejudo on Joe Rogan's podcast, what a brilliant mind he has for the sport, and he full on admits that he's created this character to build a following, and it's worked magnificently for him. But it is a shame that the sport sometimes has to do that for the elite fighters, that he can't be that star purely with talent alone. So I do agree with you in that respect, yeah.
Just a quick one from me, Tom, as well. Is he frozen? I think he's frozen.
Yeah. He's freezing a little bit. I'm still here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear everything. Yeah, it just keeps the screen, the picture keeps freezing a bit.
No problem.
I was just saying that, you know, when you came into the UFC, you said yourself that it was kind of the option to get those fights and the money was being paid well. You mentioned there that a lot of the UFC heavyweights coming in now are unexperienced, 10-0, whatnot. Do you feel like that situation could be similar again, where you kind of, without wanting to be, get fast-tracked to the top 10, even though it's not in your intentions to do it anytime soon?
I don't think so, to be honest, because I don't know if you follow the heavyweight division or not, but they've got people like, they've got a few up-and-coming who they like, seem to be grooming a little bit. And like, I don't know if you've seen Cyril Gane, the French guy, who I think is very good. Right. They've given him all good opponents that suit him. And the Russian guy, I don't know his name, but again, they've given him opponents that suit him, and hopefully they'll I'm not saying that they're opponents that suit him, sorry, that's the wrong way to say it, but they're not fast-tracking him, do you know what I mean? They're building him up a little bit first before they throw him into the top 10. And I think that's what, with a division like heavyweights where there's not loads of them, I think that's what you got to do, is you got to try and like make the stars in their country first.
100%.
Try and make them a bit more well-known before you throw them in there, because that seems to have happened a lot recently. Maybe not in the heavyweight division, but in other divisions, is they build people up too early and then throw them in, and then next minute they've got no job. I don't want to be one of them guys.
Yeah, well, I think that's where your boxing background comes into the fray here, because definitely in boxing we do have that here. Me and Fuad both work in media for boxing, and you see guys like Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, they know how to strategically build fighters into superstars and not throwing them in the deep end straight away. And when you do have talent-stacked divisions in the UFC, like lightweight, featherweight, bantamweight, it is hard to do that steady build when the talent's so deep, isn't it? And everyone needs fights. So I do understand where you're coming from with that. Yeah,
definitely. But they are starting to do it more and more. Like if you look at Sean O'Malley, who I think is brilliant. I think he's phenomenal. But look at the guys he's fought, do you know what I mean? They're all people who, I'm not saying they're easy fights or walkovers or anything like that, but they are fights that suit him, and they are fights that either, they're bringing him on slowly, and that's what they should do. They shouldn't be looking to throw young guys who are inexperienced out there into the top 10. They should throw them in when they're ready, and then they'll stick around longer then, and it works better for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. Now, you, during your time out where you was pursuing that career in boxing, you did train alongside the Furies for a long time, and you've spoke about it a few times. But back then, did you see him radiating that superstar quality within him? Because that was in the period of where he didn't know whether he was going to come back to the sport. and then you were with him when he was starting to train, when he was going to come back to the sport. So what was it like being around someone like that? And did you believe in him as much as he believed in himself as well?
Yeah, I think when you've seen it up close and you've been around him, like you say, it kind of radiates off him a little bit. He doesn't have to say anything, you know what I mean? To be honest, Tyson Fury is like a pretty quiet guy, to be honest with you. He's just really humble, quiet, laid back. But there is like a great quality about him. Like you say, it kind of radiates off him. It's hard to explain unless you've been around him. But since the first day I sparred with him, I knew it was something special personally. I was talking about it today in the gym. He is just an unbelievable talent, and I don't think I think now that he has his haters and stuff, and maybe not so much anymore, but he did a few years ago, and I think in years to come, like 30 years down the line or whatever, he'll definitely go down as like one of the greatest all time, like Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, people like that. But at the moment, you don't appreciate it when it's happening right now. But I think when his time's past, people will really see him for what he is, and it's one of the best ever, I think.
No, I agree with you 100%, and it must fill you with pride that you got to be present during that journey for him as well, because you were an important part of that as well.
I don't know if I was an important part of it, but it was nice to be there, and just nice to see how someone at a very, very top level, not even just in boxing, but just in anything, you know, just to see how like people like that operate on a day-to-day is brilliant. You know, see how at the end of the day, that's what controls everything, is your mind.
And then finally, just wrapping up this bit of the interview, I'm sure you envisioned time and time in your head, probably for as long as you've been interested in the sport of MMA, as pursuing that as a career, you've envisioned Bruce Buffer saying your name in that octagon. Have you prepared yourself for what that's going to be like? How will that feel? Will it just be goosebumps all over him, or is it the idea that because you've known that it's always going to happen, it's not really going to faze you?
I have no idea. We're going to find out though.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be one of them. I've thought about it. That usually when I think about stuff like that, I get more like goosebumps than I would actually doing it. Do you know what I mean? When I'm there, it's just like, oh, well, I've been there a million times. That's what it feels like because I've thought about it that much.
100%.
But I don't know. I believe in. I don't know. I don't like talking about it. It sounds a bit wacky, but I always think like you can create stuff in your mind before it happens. A lot of the time, you know, if you got a strong vision about something, I mean, it's not 100% accurate, but I think if you look into stuff like law of attraction, stuff like that, I think a lot of top athletes and a lot of top sportsmen, you got to see it in your mind first before you see it in reality. And when you see it in your mind enough times, by the time it comes around, it just feels wrong.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of the time, like people ask me, "Well, why didn't you like celebrate so much after you win?" And I'm like, because I expected to win. You know what I mean? I expected to knock him out because I've seen it a million times in my mind before. So it just doesn't feel. Don't get me wrong, it feels good, but that's what I thought was going to happen.
Because I think even if you're down the line in a position where you're seen as the underdog in a fight, you know, we use them big names. Whether you do find yourself in the cage with a Stipe and Ngannou, whatever, you're never going to view yourself as an underdog, right? Because you've envisioned yourself getting to the inevitable goal of UFC world title. That's what you want, isn't it? So you can't have that underdog mentality, can you?
I don't know. It's hard to say because I've not been there, but
yeah.
You're probably better off asking someone who's actually been there. But I would always see myself, even now, you got to see, this is something that I learned when I was boxing, really. Before I switched over to boxing, I was just like a young kid, you know what I mean, in my early 20s. And my mental aspect of the game wasn't up to scratch with my physical aspect, in my opinion. And that's something that I really learned through like being around people like Tyson Fury on a regular basis, is how much of a big deal the mental game is. So I kind of got that up to speed, and since then, I've been having some good success.
Good man. Right, Fuad, your time is now, mate, to go for your Island
Ours is yeah. Ours is only short, a bit of fun at the end, but obviously let's talk about the island a little bit. Like we mentioned earlier on in the interview, those fights being postponed for you, it was frustrating. But once the island had been announced, what was your initial reaction to this? Because it's completely different. We've never seen anything like it in sports, really, where a promoter takes the sport to a completely random place and you're literally on an island, no fans. What was your initial reaction?
I just wanted to get on the island, pretty much. I just thought, get me on the island quick. But I don't think it. I think they built it up to be like that. But to be honest, I can't.
Of course, yeah.
It's part of Abu Dhabi, isn't it? So it's not going to be like a little island on its own and people flying in and all that. And it's not going to be on the beach either. That's what I was going to say,
because we expected.
No, that's a load of shit. You can't have two guys fighting in 45-degree heat. Someone's going to die. It's just not going to happen.
It's crazy.
It's going to have to be air conditioned.
Yeah.
I think it is actually being built on the beach from what I've seen. I don't know if I'm correct, but you see the dome that they've got over the cage? When they were putting the cage together, I seen sand underneath. So I'm presuming that they're building the little building on the beach.
Yeah, they will. They'll have air conditioning in there and everything. Yeah, 100%. Way too hot.
Yeah, they might do. They might do, but they're not going to have it like actually on the beach with the sun beaming down and all that like they're making out. That's not happening.
No.
You'll be passing out before the fight started, mate.
Yeah, I know. I can't handle the heat anyway. I will be passing out.
Yeah.
I know you were just, your focus is to fight and whatnot, but like you mentioned there, it's not like a random island. That's what we first expected. That was the initial sort of thought of it. But are you kind of disappointed? Because I am, as a fan, that it's not on a random island and it is kind of in Abu Dhabi. It kind of takes away a little bit of that excitement.
No, I'm not bothered, This is a business trip for me. I'm not bothered where it is. You know what I mean? I'm turning up to fight. I'm just turning up to fight and that's it. I'm not bothered about anything else. I'm not bothered what's around, where we can go, what we can look at, anything. I'm just turning up to fight and that's it.
Awesome. All right, so to finish off the interview, we've got 3 rounds of Stuck on the Island. Seen as though it is a special event, and it's pretty much like a once in a while type event. We've put together 3 rounds of questions, and feel free to answer it however you want. So the first round we're going to say is, if you were stuck on an island, name 3 essential things that you would take on the island.
Oh, that's a tough question, that, isn't it? Oh. Well, you'd have to take some clothes first of all, wouldn't you? Otherwise, you'd just be getting sunburnt left and right.
Yeah.
It's not.
Or do you come with the clothes? Are clothes like not part of it?
We can count clothes out because obviously if you're wearing them, then you can wear them. But like 3 essential things that you take with you.
I'd take a tea. Oh no. Are we still there?
Yeah, we're still there. Yeah. Just an ad came.
All right. So,
yeah, we're good.
All right. Okay. So I'd take a TV first of all. Definitely take a TV with Netflix. That'll be the first thing.
Not bad.
I'd have to take a bed because I ain't going to sleep on like the sand or anything like that. And I'd have to take like a shower or something. You don't want to be getting, it'd be grimy, wouldn't it? Not having a shower or something like that.
You can have a shower in the sea if you're on an island.
Sea, yeah.
No, that's a bit too natural, isn't it, though? You need like a... You end up
You're upgrading, you're taking all the upgraded stuff.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So Tom Aspinall's on the island with his TV, his bed, and his shower. Which 3 fighters, could be current, could be past, could be MMA, could be boxing, does he take with him and why?
See, I'm a bit of an introvert, me. So I like who I like. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to take someone that I didn't know too much because what if you got to know him and there was a bit of a dick? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd probably have to take. See, I wouldn't take Till because I'm on my nerves after a bit. I couldn't take Till. He pissed me off.
That's actually that's the next question. So you can save that part for the next question.
I'd take Grundy because he's pretty chilled. Grundy's pretty chilled. I'd take Tyson Fury probably because he'd be there. He'd give you a laugh. Saying that, Till would give you a laugh, but he'd get annoying after a bit probably. And who else would I take? You know what? I've never met Gustafsson, but he seems like a decent fella. He seems pretty chilled out, doesn't he? So
Yeah, he does.
I'd like people who. I won't want anyone annoying them. You know what I mean? Because they annoy you quick, wouldn't they? If you you four,
Yeah,
they would annoy you pretty quick. So anyone laid back, that's my kind of vibe. I don't like people who are too loud and in your face and that. So anyone chilled out and laid back, I'd take them.
That's not a bad pick. So, seeing as though you mentioned Till that you wouldn't take him, again, this is not to create any beef with anyone, but name 3 people that you wouldn't want to take out of respect. Just, I want my own space.
Yeah, so I wouldn't take Till. He would do me head in, even though I love him, but small doses, not too much of Till. Who else? Do you know that Irish guy who thinks he's Conor McGregor? What's his name?
Yep.
What, James Beller?
I know exactly.
Him.
Bellator,
He
yeah.
would have known you, wouldn't he? Him.
Yeah. I think he's a good guy behind the scenes, but he's someone that definitely puts the persona on. Yeah, he's
Right.
actually a decent guy. Yeah, but
That's what I mean. I don't want to be like to judge because I don't know him personally. It's hard saying it if you don't know someone personally.
yeah.
But the way he comes across, that is a bit full on that. So I won't want him around.
This is why it's a mad sport. Though. Even the people in the industry don't know who's playing it real and who's playing it fake. Like no one knows. Like.
Yeah, well, I've never met him, so it's hard to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
And who else annoys me? There's a good few out there. Do you know that Sam Alvey? That one who just smiles all the time.
Yeah.
He'd annoy me because he's just non-stop smiling, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm all.
You need a bit of realism in your life, don't you? Just keep.
I'm all about the good vibes and that. I'm all about it, but after a bit, it's just like, come on, pal, just ease up with the smiling now. Just do another facial expression.
I can be happy as anything, but I'll probably look like I've got a resting bitch face. But I'll be proper happy.
Mate, I'm the same.
You don't have to smile for everything. No, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. He just walks around with a massive grin on his face non-stop, and I just think, oh mate, just leave it. So that would annoy me after a bit, I reckon. Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like
awesome. Well,
Stephen Thompson's very, very happy guy as well, but. That's not annoying.
I know, but I like it. I like a bit of Stephen Thompson.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like him. I like him. I've never met him, but he seems all right.
He's definitely got an endearing quality about him because he just seems like a nice, calm, genuine dude. But when you go overboard on anything, yeah, I agree with your pick.
I don't know. Do you know? I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. But do you know what really annoys me is like people who are like really American.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like
the proper over the top and that.
Yeah.
And it's worse when they try to come at the British with their British jokes. It's just like
they don't understand.
Yeah,
like team scons cringy. They don't get it.
Maybe someone like TJ Dillashaw or something like that. He's like overly American, and you just think, oh, just leave off with that.
Yeah.
No, I get you, man. I get you. Right, that pretty much wraps it up, Tom. I really appreciate you coming on the show with us. And
thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Look, mate. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'll come on anytime you want.
Thank you very much, mate. Yeah,
appreciate it, Tom.
Anyway, top man.
Nice one.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. See you later.